Go.
Hi, howdy, hello there, good buddies. Your old pal Clayton Patterson down here at 161 Essex, holding down the fort. And today we're doing Maurice with his MNN and 8-Ball Radio. So very happy to have that. We'll have everybody introduce themselves.
Cochise.
Cisco, Ghetto Brothers.
Evaristo, Ghetto Brother.
Valentin, Supreme President on Superior Wines.
Okay, very good. Another history program on street gangs on the Lower East Side.
Was I supposed to say Supreme Vice President of the Ghetto Brothers?
If you want.
Yeah. Supreme Vice President of the Ghetto Brothers.
Even better. So we're doing a history program, and it's the Ghetto Brothers are very important because there was. You want to explain that? Cochise is good at that. We did a book, Street Gangs of the Lower East Side. You want to do that part of the introduction, Cochise?
Well, me and Clayton Patterson worked on a book called The Street Gangs of the Lower East Side. And I thank Clayton, he's the ones that encouraged me to write that book on gangs on the Lower East Side. We talk about gangs from the late 60s to the 80s to the early 90s.
50s even, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mama, Bishop Kings and all that.
Yeah. And so the Ghetto Brothers was instrumental in bringing a lot of peace to the gangs in the South Bronx. Yellow Benjy, who was the founder of the Ghetto Brothers, and Karate Charlie, when one of their members, what was his
Black Benjy.
Black Benjy.
Benjy. When Black Benjy was killed by members of the Mongols and the Black Spades and the Seven Immortals, the Ghetto Brothers went over they wanted to establish peace at first, but since this guy was murdered, Blackie was murdered, Karate Charlie wanted to go to war, but Yellow Benjy had tried to calm Karate Charlie down because he knew that going to war would only make things worse. Yeah. So we're talking about over 40 gangs, so street gangs that were well known back then, very violent gangs.
And this was 1971.
1971.
New York City was out of control with gangs and things.
The Bronx was crazy.
And the Bronx was crazy, is the Lower East Side, and a lot of parts of Brooklyn. And what happened is that Karate Charlie wanted to deal with it in a street way.
Yeah.
And they went over to Black Benjy's mother, and she was very disturbed by this whole thing. And she said, "Look, I don't want the blood of my son to be the reason to have a war." She was instrumental in the peace, right? So that was that was the compassionate mother, and so that's a very important detail. Now the thing about the whole Ghetto Brothers thing, this is 1971. Was that this eventually, you fast forward and you could get to the Warriors and then eventually the Rebel Kings. And then also around that time, and this is sort of a little diversion for a second, but Cochise told me about this, but one of you people was with Reverend Wilkinson and the Cross and the Switchblade or something, was that
was
one?
me.
Oh yeah,
That was you.
He was in the movie.
Yeah, because across the Switchblade, Reverend Wilkinson at that period of time was a big influence. He was a fundamentalist Christian.
He came in, he walked, he actually got here from Pennsylvania. And they even ripped him off, they took his shoes, they did a lot of things, but he stayed with it.
But if you read that book, The Cross and the Switchblade,
Yeah.
believe it or not, it's a religious book, religious Christian fundamentalism. But there it talks about the Mau Maus and the Dragons and a lot of the gangs that existed. So it's a very good history book. And so he hooked up with a guy called Nicky Cruz, and Nicky Cruz kind of became the gang crusader. And then you go forward up until the 80s, and that organization still exists. I know there was a fundamentalist church down here that was connected to it on Ludlow Street. But I knew like a gangbanger from LA, his name is Freddie Negretti. He was very important in bringing in the black and gray prison tattooing into the mainstream. And he kind of got into heroin and a bunch of other things, and he kind of got into reform and kind of got into tattooing. And he ran into this, but it turned out he was also Jewish, but he ran into the Reverend Wilkinson thing. And by this time, it was kind of like the Krishna thing. It was all about people gathering money, getting money, living together in a group home. All the money went to the organization. So it ended up in a place that wasn't really as glamorous as when it first started. So that's sort of a little thumbnail about but The Cross and the Switchblade is a very good book. And I come from Western Canada, and at that period of time, they were out prophetizing. I even remember going there when I was in Calgary, and some of those people, I don't know if it was Nicky Cruz or who it was, but it was kind of a big deal. So they got all people that, I don't know, delinquent, whatever. So it all went to these meetings.
It was all over Brooklyn Bridge. It was for that territory
And the
right
world.
there, Brooklyn Bridge. It was the Mamas, which were white, Bishop Kings, who were black. And the whole idea is that the control of the bridge. Who had that turf and who wanted the turf, right? And what happens, first of all, I want to say before anything, right? Whatever I say, right? Because I want to say some things that people might not like. I'm willing to take a lie detector test, okay, on anything I say, all right? Because a lot of things are out there that are not right. So,
Let me ask you one quick question first. Who appointed you Supreme Vice President?
Vice Benjy,
Yellow Bench.
Yellow Benjy.
And you want to tell that story in what year?
Okay, yeah, that was about 71, about exactly when they cleared Black Benjy. This is when they took Charlie away, okay? Let's just say the military, okay? Not to point out any branches, all right? So he was there, and he accepted me as a ghetto brother because me and him, I knew them since they were younger. They were little kids singing because they're great singers, man.
Yeah.
They're awesome
Good
singers.
musicians.
The brothers, man. We adopted them on 163rd Street because I am from 163rd Street. I grew up there in Prospect and between Stebbins. And there was a little store by Stebbins that maybe 9, 10 years old, singing here, all these 3 kids singing Beatle records, Beatle songs, and they sounded just like them.
Wow.
And everybody was saying, whoa. So we accepted them into our neighborhood because at that time, every block had their own people.
Yeah.
It was so like New York was so alive, you know, that they had a stickball team, everything. We had snowball fights against each other as kids. Every block, and I'm talking about one little block across the street, they had their own people on 163rd Street, which 2 other Ghetto Brothers lived right from the band, lived directly across me, right? I went to Puerto Rico. My mother sent me for various reasons. Sent me to live in Puerto Rico for a while. I came back. Now the Ghetto Brothers. They started to me. I remember a little bike thing. You know, bicycles running around together as a group. Okay, and now
Bicycle crew.
Yeah, bicycle crew. So and I think I believe they were called Hell Riders, right? So now 162nd Street, right around the corner, right? Well, they had a nice little club, right? And when I saw them, I said, okay. So I joined. Now, and they took Charlie, and I remember we were out in front of the headquarters, okay? And somebody's asking, Benji, well, you're the president now, who's your vice president? And he just went, he is. I said, what the hell? You know what I mean? I wasn't as big and bad as the rest, you know, but then again, he seen I was smart. You know, he seen I started to roll things, I started to get things done. You know,
That's one lesson I learned about, especially gangsters. Can't go by size. I know a lot of little gangsters that are like hardcore.
yeah, well, that's
I
one of the
think
things.
Savannah was
I
a
was
small
a
guy.
bully. I was a bully before that in my block,
Yeah.
believe it or not. I was the smallest one, but I was a bully. You know, and that's what I'm saying, because what I'm about to say now is gonna bother a lot of people. Okay, when they were coming down 165th Street, okay, we had some Ghetto Brothers hanging out with another club in Horseshoe Park, right? And I was mining headquarters. Mind you, by this time, I started to remove the colors. I wanted to, and Nana, he knows because he had to remove his colors, you know. And I wanted people to wear berets with a red star. That's our revolutionary, that's our protest, the red star, right? And then we have fatigues, all simulating the Young Lords and the Black Panthers and all that, because we had the headquarters, right? And what happened was, I had some experience in acquisition things. So I said, Benji, we're empty here. we went, I called the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and we had a meeting, set up a meeting with them. And when we did this, right, I went and we spoke and we said we're from the South Bronx, we're Puerto Rican, mainly Puerto Rican gang, and we're not about violence, we're known as a peace gang. But remind me, we're peaceful, but we got things done if we needed to. Just let that be known, you know. So we said we would like to get some recreational equipment. And what happened was, a week later, our truck pulls up with my name on it, Jose Evaristo Roman. And I said, that's me. And I said, oh shit, this big truck. And then pool table comes out, TV comes out, chairs come out, stereo system comes out, ping pong table comes out, all this stuff comes. So now we have headquarters full.
Wow.
Right?
What year is this about?
There's about 71, from 71 to 72, really. In that period, 70, because, you know, I burned a couple of cells, but, you know, by that time. No. So it had to be before I was 18, because I wasn't 18, I was something else. It had to be 21, 72. During Black Benjy's death, just before that, right? When
Before or after?
Before. Because when that happened, we had headquarters going. We also, I said, wait a minute, there's a lot of people running around saying they're Ghetto Brothers, because if the cops stopped you and you said you had color and you said you were Ghetto Brothers, they wouldn't bother you. Because they knew we were about okay.
That, but yeah.
Huh?
I don't know about that, but yeah.
No, but trust me, Armando. You know, it was happening in our area anyway.
Yeah, I'm from the
Yeah,
west side of the
you were on
Bronx.
the west side.
Different.
Right. Yeah, like you were a little more crazy on
Yeah.
that side. Okay? We were more organized on this one. But, you know, so the thing was that, so I said, okay, we're gonna have IDs. Every Ghetto brother needs to have an ID to walk in these doors. Because we had other gang members and we welcomed them, you know, from other clubs coming in to hang out. Because there was music, you know, there was a lot of things going on. In fact, you know, one of the main, one of the reasons I had was, it was towards Christmas, and I said, I want to give these kids something. You know, they ain't gonna have a Christmas, right? And we threw a big party for the poor kids of the neighborhood that wouldn't have a Christmas, okay? And we gave them toys, the parents cooked, and the band was playing. And I still can't get, I'm not well to navigate the net, but I'm looking for an interview where Geraldo Rivera, at that moment, he interviewed me. He interviewed me, and everything that was going on. The band was playing and everything. Yellow Benny said, take the interview. And I took the interview. Geraldo, we squatted down, and I got a picture that's a little faded. Oh, you could see my little head like that, because I had a goatee. And in fact, that's the way this guy that used to write in the post about me used to describe me. The little guy with the whiskey mustache and goatee, right?
Wow.
He thought I was gonna come out very vulgar out of my mouth. You know, they thought I was gonna come out very vulgar out of my mouth, but I didn't. You know, I said, you know, he introduced me, and it's very clear in the news, on TV, Evaristo Roman, Vice President of the Ghetto Brothers, right? So, yeah, he says, what you guys are about. And I said, well, right now, we are kind of victims of circumstances because we label a gang. But like I said, a gang is a Jewish word of a group of people striving for the same cause. And that is what we are. We are a gang and a group of people striving for the same cause. What we want is peace in our neighborhood. We have a safe neighborhood because anything that happens, the will keep the police that walk the beat will tell us, and we will take care of it. Okay. I came out and I said that, and I said, yeah, right now we got a sweeping campaign because we need to sweep the streets, right? We need to clean our own area. We need to pick up our garbages. We had people, Ghetto Brothers, picking up garbage and everything in the neighborhood. They're maintaining our area, 162nd, 163rd, Stabbins and all that, clean, and part of Westchester, right? So, he was surprised because he thought I was gonna come out with bad words like, mother and this and that. And I said, no, we're no longer warlords. Because, we took off those words. Yeah. We are no longer warlords. We are Ghetto Brothers staff. Okay? And Benjy was appointed by me, not Benjy, Black Benjy was appointed by me as head of security. Really? Okay? Because I seen in a book that Benjy said that he was the Ghetto Brothers security. He was head of security. He had a crew that whenever things happened, they went out and took care of things. And if we all needed to get involved, then that's what we did. Okay? Another thing is that the day that Black Benjy died, and let me make this clear, okay? The day that I'm alive today because he went to check out what was happening. I'm alive today because he went. Because the minute the guy ran in, right? The minute he ran in to say, oh, there's some guys coming down 165th Street. I said, I'm gonna go check out. I'm gonna go check. I didn't have colors on. I had my long jacket, I had my berets, right? But he stopped me. He stopped me and he says, no, that's my job. You appointed me head of security. That's my job. I said, you're right. That's your job. You go. And about 15 minutes later, okay, they ran right back in and they said, they jumped him. And we put him in a cab. And he going to the old Lincoln, right? They jumped him. And I'm saying, oh my God, wow. So everybody ran out of headquarters, stopped buses, stopped cabs. They didn't pay on the buses, just ran in the buses, right? Headed towards the old Lincoln. He was pronounced dead. And when I heard that, that's when I sent for Yellow Benjy. Yellow Benjy wasn't there when they killed Black Benjy. He was around Tiffany, around where he lived, right? I said, go get him immediately, right? Now he got back immediately. Within an hour, the first gang to arrive were the Black Falcons, and they're a motorcycle gang. Then the unknown, then the TNT Chinese, and there's an area, it's a crossroads, Stebbins, 163rd Street, 162nd Street, Westchester, again 163rd Street, and Stebbins that way. And the train is way up there, right? That place got so packed of gang members willing to take revenge. Ready to take revenge. Right? Yeah, they were all with us. Something happened to a ghetto brother, they all came, right? So I remember to this day, it was Sergeant Martinez from Fort Apache that was talking with Benjy now. I let Benjy handle that book. So he was talking to Sergeant Martinez. Now the word that got to us quick was that the mortars were involved, they were ripping their colors up. Everybody was trying to tear all their colors up because they were scared that we were going after them. Because now, they didn't know it was a ghetto brother, they jumped until they seen, because he still had his colors on. So when he turned around and they were hitting him and they seen that ghetto brother, They ran. They all started running. Okay? So, what happened? They were talking, and Sergeant Martinez from Fort Apache, and Fort Apache was the meanest precinct in the South Bronx, that you didn't want to mess with, because those cops were like crazy, man.
Yeah, it was famous.
There was the one from that came out of the French Connection and all that, now even they moved somewhere else. However, right, they would see all these gang members, they say, how could we deal with you guys, right? Please, don't fight, please. They begged us not to fight. And now I'm talking about Sergeant from Fort Apache was begging us not to fight, okay? Now remember Benjy, I remember. Then his mother came, and she's the one that begged us.
Black Benjy mother.
Yeah. She begged us not to fight. She said, you're not gonna bring my son back. You're not gonna bring my son back. He's gone. I don't want no more, none of this. That's where we started, our mentality started clicking. We gotta do something. We gotta do something about this, because we can't keep killing each other. Because every time we were like ready to rumble, we had 133 a schoolyard up the block, and Stebbins, right? We were all one guy against another guy. Let's rumble. Two best men fighting. And the cop would come around, we would start passing a basketball. Like you were playing basketball. We would start passing a basketball. When they left, we started to fight again. What happened to one of them, that they were getting beat down, this guy just made the mistake of throwing a chain to the guy that was getting beat. And that's all she wrote for those people, because we went on them like white on rice. You understand? Excuse me for that. It's just a saying, right? But we tore him up. We let him walk out. We left him well enough to walk away. Okay, because sometimes we didn't leave people well enough to walk away. That's the story about that. And his girl, Black Benjy's girl at the time, right? She didn't have nowhere to stay. I was telling Armando on the way over here, and she said she was like worried because she was with Black Benjy day and night, right? And then I said, you could stay in my house for that night until you find a place. Stay in my house, okay? And then that's what happened. We were so close from being, because this was my vision, right? My vision was, we have the center. We were doing we're doing Puerto Rican history. We're doing karate lessons, because Yellow Benjy was good at karate, and he wasn't, right? Of course, I know him with his girl at that time, right? The Chinese girl that was his girlfriend. The grandfather used to teach him in the back of the cleaners on Prospect, 906 Prospect. They were the arts, right? So the both of them run. And I would have hate to be in one of those arguments when they both could fight. But, you know what I'm saying? Especially now, it would have been now, forget it. But, you know what I'm saying? So we were doing that. We were letting the Black Panthers come by and give their Black histories. Because a Puerto Rican is a mixture that you don't want to. We have a mixture of people, Indian, Spaniard, Black, and Jewish. That's the main mixtures of a Puerto Rican. That's why somehow we came out with the best DNA. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that is
That's a fact, right?
That's a fact. It's recorded. It's documented. It was traced to Puerto Rico. A girl on the east side of there. She had the best DNA of her. So our culture has the best DNA.
Listen to that, Cochise?
Yeah.
Hey, you said it, I believe it.
Why argue?
So you know, so what happened was then I said, let's get this IDs, let's get this going. We have everything coming. We have the young lords coming in, also giving us our history, right? Let's make this a center, man. Let's organize and make it an original center, right? Then, before that, the meeting took place, right? There was 2 meetings, right? I remember I spoke, and the one that wrote about me was in the Post, okay? And I said, you know, we are the future. We are the future. You know, all these kids are looking up to us. So we are their role models. What is it that we...
I was just going to say, at a certain point, what I'd like to do, since there's more people here, is that the Ghetto Brothers were huge. They were really a large organization.
Yeah.
Some of them crossed
Well,
over
according to
the
Yellow
Lower East Side.
Benjy, they had over 2,000 members.
Yeah.
in New
Yeah,
York City.
and that's
So
And
what
then you have
I'd
Connecticut.
like to do is, I'd like to get Cochise to talk about Ghetto Brothers' relationship to the Lower East Side, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, no, we spoke about that on the...
And then also I'd like to get Armando to talk. The one thing that came out of the peace treaty, and this is my big
Yeah.
problem, my pet peeve with Bloomberg. One of the things Bloomberg did was cut off in the art and music. Now,
Yeah.
basically, the only way out of the inner city, for the most part, of the working class is art and music. That's where
Yeah.
just what all the fame comes from there. So in order to eliminate that, what you're doing is you're building up the violence. This is like now, and you're ending the opportunity for kids to move on. And so, like Cochise, one of the things he really got out of in being in jail was that he realized that art would save his life, and it did, and it certainly saved mine. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for art.
Well, yeah, no, I
So
did
the
art
other
too.
thing is that at the one thing that came out of the peace treaty was the movement towards hip hop
Yeah.
and breakdancing. So now we have culture and art once again becoming a dominant factor, which took a
Yeah.
lot of kids out of murdering each other and like that. So I want to have Armando talk about that. I'd like to have Cochise talk a little bit about the relationship between the Ghetto Brothers and Lower East Side, and then coming up to today, because we still have the same problems. And I hope you're not a Bloomberg fan there, Mr. Valentin.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sorry that I was hogging up. I
No,
just
no,
wanted
that's
to get
fine.
things
I mean, it's
out,
all very
We need to
important.
know the history.
We need to know the history. But I'd like to bring in Valentin for like the later part, because he's now working with the Bloods and the Crips and trying to get different peace treaties going in that. Because, I blame part of it with Bloomberg, eliminated the art, the music and all that. There's no way out.
Yeah,
So it's just building up the bomb. And so the Bloods and the Crips and that whole thing, no matter what anybody says, there's parts of the city where it's really building up.
Oh, yeah.
It's going nuts.
Yeah.
So we'll do a little switch over to Cochise. He can talk about Ghetto Brothers,
And he
relationship to
knows
Lower
more,
East Side.
Armando knows more about the music and the hip
And
hop.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, then Armando is the right person to talk about that. And then we'll get more to today, where Mr. Valentin here can talk about, the Bloods and the Crips and ending that piece. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that way we can all have a piece of the pie.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
you
we
know
gotta
what?
do you separately,
And
because you got a lot to
I
say.
needed to say, because
I agree.
a lot of things is
I
going
agree.
around that's not true.
No, we're happy you said all of that. I mean,
It's
it's
good,
very
it's good
important.
that you share that, those
And we
parts.
should do you also privately at some point, because you have a lot more to say.
Yeah,
But-
well, you did me probably once, it's just that.
Yeah, well, we need to add more. So, do you wanna start, Cochise?
Yeah,
Because the Ghetto Brothers versus
my family came down here from Puerto Rico back in 1955, and there was already gang situated, like in here, on the Lower East Side, like the Dragons, the Imperial Dragons, the Bopping Ballerino Dragons. You had a lot of dragon sets, a lot of gangs, a lot of violence. I was born right there in St. Mark's Place, on 8th Street and 3rd Avenue, old furnished room. So that's where my mother lived. And
Yeah,
as I was
gang.
growing up, my father left us, and there was a lot of gangs. So that's where I gravitated to, looking for a father figure. So when we moved over to Clayton Street, towards Clayton Street, there was a lot of gangs there too. When I'm talking now back in the 70s. And the Ghetto Brothers were there, the Royal Javelins were there.
Oh, yes.
These were prominent gangs back
Yeah.
then. Today you hear the Bloods and Latin Kings and Nietas and stuff like that. But back then you had the Ghetto Nunchakos, the Dynamite Brothers, the Royal Javelins, the Ghetto Brothers. And so the Ghetto Brothers had a chapter right down Henry Street and Montgomery, right by Henry Street settlement around that area. All right, and you also, they share that territory with the Royal Javelins. Now these two gangs were very big. back in the days.
Did they get along?
Down the hill. They got along, they had peace.
That javelins in the
You know?
Bronx.
We
Yeah,
didn't get
because
along.
they originated,
Yeah.
all these
Yeah,
gangs that we
yeah.
have here on the Lower East Side a lot of them originated in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
Alright, now, what I wanted to talk about was, I used to see all that violence or whatever, but even back then, during that period, the Ghetto Brothers had a gift for gap, for peace.
Oh yeah.
You know, because of Benjy. Benjy was politicized by the Black Panther Party, like the brother said in the Young Lords. And so the Ghetto Brothers were always talking about peace, even to the gangs on the Lower East Side. And so what happened when the whole Avenue Peace Treaty took place, when they killed Black Benjy, that Yellow Benjy said no war but peace. He got all the gangs together, all these gangs, Savage Skull, Savage Nomads, they're still in existence today.
Yeah.
Royal Javelins, all these gangs, we have over 40 gangs that came down. This peace treaty affected even the gangs on the Lower East Side, like the Dynamite Brothers, and the Catos and the Javelins.
Yeah.
That had a big effect on the gangs on the Lower East Side. And then the gangs in East Harlem, like the Harlem Renegades and the Grant Brothers, you understand, and the Scorpions, they had a peace meeting too over in 1972. You understand? So what Yellow Benjy and the Ghetto Brothers did had a ripple effect. You understand? Because of the death of this one man, Black Benjy, and because he died for
Beautiful
peace,
person,
trying to
man.
establish peace among gang members that were out looking for war. You understand? So it also affected East Harlem and here on the Lower East Side. And I remember gangs from East Harlem, like the Harlem Renegades, coming down to the Lower East Side and teaching the Dynamite Brothers how to renovate tenement
That was the thing.
tenement buildings, abandoned tenement buildings
That's
for the community.
That's my point.
You understand? I remember that period. I was a little kid, but I remember those things. I remember the gang wars, but I also remember that. There were some people that adhered to the sounds of the South Bronx and Yellow Benjy as far as the cry for peace. But there were others that were still wanted war. You understand? But Yellow Benjy had a big voice. And that affected a lot of gangs. And there was peace for a while until the 80s came with the crack epidemic and the violence.
And all the crews.
You know?
And so,
Epidemic, I meant to say epidemic.
You can buy it only for
but
a dollar.
also at that time, I just want to point out a couple of things, and that's we were able to interview Yellow Benjy and
Yes, Clayton
Yeah.
on his show before the passing of Yellow Benjy and Karate Charlie. These were two prominent members of the Ghetto Brothers. And Clayton Patterson got to interview, thanks to also Julian Ballard, who authored the book, The Ghetto Brothers, From Warrior to Peacemaker. And I'm also working on Clayton Patterson's novel. And
Also-
so he brought Yellow Benjy and Karate Charlie.
Well,
I brought Karate
sure,
Charlie.
there you go. Karate Charlie at this time, he'd kind of retired from New York. He's in Colorado, and Cochise got in contact with him back and forth several times. And through that communication, Cochise got Karate Charlie down here, and so we were able to interview
And Karate
him.
Charlie was a big martial artist.
Oh,
just
yeah, he
Yellow
was.
Benjy.
And then
Huge.
one other point
That's
I want to bring up.
how I met him.
One other point I want to bring out, and that was the fact, because we're Lower East Side, was that there were Ghetto Brothers down here, number one, Cochise can talk about that, as well as the Chingalings, the original
Yeah.
Chingalings, actually, which
The
this history
Chingalings
really
used to hang
involves.
out with the aliens. There was a gang called the Aliens.
But I just
Eventually
wanted to
they
point out
became-
that the original Chingaling, the people that started that were on the Lower East Side.
They were street gangs first.
Yeah,
But
we
they were
had
on the
we
Lower
had
East
Ghetto
Side.
They were on
Brothers
the Lower
down
East
here.
Side.
So you want us to talk about those two things?
But the Chingaling Nomads today is 314. They are a big motorcycle club. Alright, they started in New Rochelle, upstate. But they were street gang first here on the Lower East Side. They used to hang out with the aliens. And eventually the aliens became known as, 81, Hells Angels. You know? And so they went up to New Rochelle, started a chapter over there, MC, and then they moved from the Lower East Side to the South Bronx. And to this day, they are big.
Huge avenue.
They're
Yeah,
huge.
that's where I
motorcycle
thought
club,
they were
but they
from.
started right here on the Lower East Side.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the original guys. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Apache and the other thing. I said, Apache, we had Ghetto Brothers and give around Gouverneur and
There you
and
go.
Going to the hospital, yeah.
and
So tell that part.
he said, huh?
That's an important part of the history of Lower East Side. You want to mention that about Ghetto Brothers by the Good?
Yeah, because they used to roam that. Remember from Henry Street, in Montgomery, where the Henry Street settlement is located, all Henry Street and Madison, they used to roam all that place right there, right where Gouverneur is today, to this day. Not the old Gouverneur. I'm talking about where it's at today. So they roamed all of that. It's Henry and Clayton, Madison. They all roamed that whole area there with the Royal Javelins.
Because we came down to see him, we heard about it and we came down.
And Armando, you want to speak about how they eventually broke into the part of the peace treaty turned into creativity, which is really an important concept, and so that creativity turned into breakdancing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You want to talk about that early period?
Well, first, I'm from the west side of the Bronx, so we're a little different. We didn't want to wear colors. We want to wear MC boots and all that stuff we want to be like the Savage Coast. See, the Savage Coast was one of the biggest Spanish gang, at least in the Bronx. I know they had them everywhere, but in the Bronx they were huge, and they were really outlawed. Like when we say outlawed, you know what I'm saying? It's the way we like to dress like the Hells Angels. See, that's who we look after. We want to be like the Hells Angels. But you know, it was crazy because my neighborhood, it was a very mixed neighborhood. I'm from originally what they call High Bridge in the Bronx. You go there now, it's not the same, but at that time, we were mixed. When I mean by mixed, my division had blacks, Irish, and Hispanics.
And you're Cuban.
And I'm Cuban. Yeah, I have to. I came into this country in '69. Now, you gotta understand, my father always wanted to come to New York, the capital of the world. That's how we know. And we used to have a nice black and white TV, and we were fortunate to have one TV. There's one particular movie that always took my attention. To this day, it's my favorite movie. It's called Angel with Dirty Faces. And in that movie, we got, but what attracted me to it was the West End kids. You know, that's how they used to call them at that time. The dead end kids. So that was my vision. Oh, that must be New York. Well, when I came here, of course, it wasn't like that. And they put me, when I went to school, they put me in junior high school. So I went to junior high school 117. It's on 176th Street and Morris. One of my classmates was Mitch Blood Green, the first man to get me high on glue. I didn't know how to get high on glue. He was like, come on. You know, so some of y'all might not know who he is, but he fought Mike Tyson. Well, he was the president. And in my school, there was 4 gangs. The Black Space, he was the president. The Black Warrior, I can't remember the guy's name. That was his buddy. They were always together. And we had the Javelins and the Screaming Phantoms. Now, the Screaming Phantom and the Javelins was always together because the Screaming Phantom is a small clique. They're originally from Mount Vernon, if I'm not mistaken, but they're very small, so they were always hanging out with the Javelins. And then we had us. We didn't get along. That's why I asked you. They might have get along over here, but over there we were always fighting. We were always fighting. You know, so what happened was after the peace treaty, things did come down. You know, it wasn't as crazy, but we were still rumbling in the west side. You know, the 7th Division used to be right up the block on Acton Avenue. Crazy people in there. They were older than us. They were crazy. We had the Savage Coast 24th Division right on Morris. We had the Saigons. We had the in Clayton you had the
Baby Ghetto Brothers.
Yeah, first the 3rd chapter, the Brothers and Sisters, the Majestic Brothers, all that. It was crazy. Now, when you're talking about how the music came, you know, eventually by 75, 76, we still, you know, we all neighborhood kids. See, we still was Ghetto Brothers, but since we from Girard Avenue, that's originally our street. Yankee Stadium, we started calling ourselves the Girard Boys. You know, we Ghetto Brothers from the Girard Boys, because, you know, we were all from Girard Avenue. But what happened was, like, by the time the music came around, I met a couple people from the music. Like, I can't say that I know Bambaataa, like, personally. Like, if he would see me now, he would go, hey, I remember you, what's up, my brother? No. But I remember him and me buying records, because, see, one of my crew member was really deep into the mixing and all that stuff. So we used to go to Uptown Records. It used to be on 27th Street. I used to work right on 27 between 6 and 7 next to Fashion College over there. So I used to see Bambaataa there, and we used to share, like, oh, you like that? Yeah, man, that's just sound dope. And I would tell the guy, because I knew the owners real personally, so they would play music for me. He would go, yo, that's dope. Yeah, I'll take that one. So we met there a couple times. You know, like I said, I hated the whole change. I didn't want to change that. I didn't want to take our colors off. But we had to. But that's the law. It came down from Benjy. We need to change. So what we did, he has his beret, but we had a different, like the 7 and us, we had a different. We had the red beret, and we needed to identify who we were, so we put white letters GB for Ghetto Brothers. And then for the girls, we had white with red letters that said GS, Ghetto Sister. And that's how we used to roll, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't want to change. But we got along, besides the javelins, we got along with the Savage Squad. They were always in our club. Because you got to imagine, we didn't have like a little, we had an apartment, 5-room apartment as a club. You know, always music, all the black light, the stroke, the whole thing. So they used to like to come out and hang out in our club. And we used to love to play Johnny on the Pony. Let's see who's going to win. Because see, we had a secret weapon. This guy named Leroy.
Yeah, big.
Guy reach up there, 200 and something pounds. I seen this boy pick up a Volkswagen that was parked and say, I'm going to show you. And picked it up and dragged it all the way to the middle of the street. And he said, and now I'm going to park it back. And he dragged it all the way and parked it right in the same spot. So we didn't tell nobody. We didn't tell nobody that was a secret weapon until we stopped playing. And he would be the last one to jump. And I'm talking about there's 10, 11 people jumping. You know, 11 line and 11 people jumping. He's the last one. And since I was little skinny and I'm one of the first. So by the time they jump on you, I hate to tell you, I'm a guy. You know, over here things don't work out with too much pressure.
You know what Johnny and the Pony is? You see, because they look
you don't know what Johnny and the Pony is.
It's one guy, you got one guy that stands up straight.
That's the wall.
That's the wall.
And everybody grabs like
and then you have a couple of guys that hold on. And the next guy
make a
holds
line.
on. You make like a line. And then you have to jump as far as you can to the front, one guy. Then the next guy. Then the next guy.
The idea is to break.
The idea is to break the line.
Well,
And have
let me tell you before we go into that. We used to play a game that I don't know if anybody, I don't know who came out with this stupid game, but we call it Kill the Cops. So now, Girard Avenue is one-way street. It's not that big, but it's not that wide. It's huge. I mean, you're in one corner, and I used to live in this corner here, and it was so big that it had a little hill, so when you be in that corner, you can't see in this corner. And I thought I used to always get away with a lot of things, but you know, back in those days, you know, a village, you know about the village thing. Every time I was doing something here, I thought I got away with it, and I go home, my father said, hey, you was doing this. I'm like, you could have not seen me because the hell don't let you see. So the game we used to play that we came out, I don't know who invented it. It was, we choose, you know, who's going to be the cop and who's going to be the robber. If you're the cop, you're in the street. If you're in the robber, you're in the sidewalk. And the whole idea is for the robbers to run from one side of the sidewalk to the other side without getting caught. But if you get caught, the police, the cops, they're in the street, they could beat you up. They could hit you from your waist to your shoulder. They can't hit your face, they can't hit you down. But I mean, I'm talking about boom, boom, and hold you. Once they hold you, you become a cop. And that's how, you know, the whole game. But now, if we get one of the cops and drag them into the sidewalk, then we could beat him up. You know, don't know who invented this.
The cops are still playing that game today.
Yeah, right, isn't it? I don't know who invented it, but that's how we used to play.
A little bit about the beginning of hip hop music.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really like. I love hip hop music, right? Like I'm from the Bronx, so of course, you know, I remember 32 Park. You know, I remember Grandmaster Flash. You know, hanging there. But I can't say that I was really into it, but we were like, because we were already doing freestyle dancing. I mean, we're talking about James Brown was the shit. That's the man. James Brown, and I remember we always had like little club with the stroke line. I remember the time that I heard Think About It. Yeah, I know you know that song. That blew my mind. My favorite group was Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
I knew how to whistle the whole let your music take your mind and love the life you live. This is what we used to do. So when hip hop came, they were taking a lot of that sound from those groups and incorporating into hip hop. So now I remember seeing all that happening, and of course I started liking it. I remember when Sugar Hill was the first one that came out with it, that we thought, but then I was already hearing through some friends, some tapes where Cass is really the man.
And KRS One.
Well, KRS came afterward, but Cass, Tila Rock, all these people was really the people that was bringing it out.
So that was the very beginning.
That was the very
And
beginning.
after Gamba came
And
a little
then
later.
Bambata came more or less. Yeah, Bambata came after Sugar Delight. You know, yeah, that was the name, right? Sugar Delight. He came the Sugar Hill guy. He came right past after. Actually, I remember my favorite record from Grandmaster Flash, the Flash.
Everybody.
That you could not go anywhere around the Bronx that you will not hear. Ba, 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 ba. That was like everywhere. And then after that, that's when Bambata came with Planet Rock.
And that was Sugar Hill.
I lived around the corner from Disco Fever. Do I need to say anymore? If you know about hip hop, you gotta know Disco Fever. Just like 12 something Sedgwick Street is supposed to be famous because, you know, Cool Herc and all that. Disco Fever was the maker at that time. So I used to go there. At the beginning it was fun. I gotta tell you, I love hip hop and I like hanging out with my people. But after a while, the gangster shit started mingling in there.
What year do you
You
think
know,
that started? How did
this
that
is
get
like
75 to 76.
Yeah,
Right there.
77, 78, you know, late 70. But this time the gangs already had like sort of like, you still had some holder. I used to call them diehards. Because you still had like some, like I remember Comanche, you know, from the 7th Division of Savage Code, Hollywood, I knew personally. They were still hanging out with the colors and all this, you know. I grew up with Outlaw Manny. We from the same neighborhood. But I used to call them, you know, diehard, because we were moving on. We was into something else, you
I think
know.
you also mentioned a guy called Cowboy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I knew Cowboy because I used to hang out. I hang out all over the Bronx because I'm from the Bronx. So I hang out all over the Bronx, and I used to hang out on Creston Avenue and 181st Street, 182nd Street. And he used to, I don't know, he had a girl there, or he lived around there, and we would see him, yo, Cowboy, yo, what's happening, you know, like that. And you get to see people when, I knew Scholar Rock, because he's from Walton Avenue. He used to live on Walton Avenue, 161st Street. When he started getting big, him and ECE, there was a guy named ECE that used to play music, used to take out the music to the park, and we would play, and this thing would get parked. I remember when he got killed. You know, he got killed right there on University Avenue in Burnside. He went over there, just like Benjy, he went over there to cool up because one of his friends had some problem. He went over there to take care of the problem, and some fool from the roof, started shooting down. And he had one of those, you remember the little samurai? That was the shit back then. They came out with the Suzuki, was it Suzuki Samurai? Everybody had it. He was one of the first one to have it. And got hit and got killed.
And who exactly was Cowboy? You want to explain that to people?
Cowboy is one of the members of the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. He's the one that always used to wear the hat. He was one of the coolest guys there. Let me tell you. Scorpion was the shit, because Scorpion knew how to dance. You know, he was the man, he was the dancer. But Cowboy was good. Mel, well, he's the king, you know, he knew what to do. But yeah, that's how I remember all that. And at that time we had crews. That's when the Rocksteady crew came out. In my neighborhood we had the G-Man crew. You know, I was never into that. And then of course we had the Zulu. Zulu was big. But this time, you know, I started when I was very young. But this time I'm already getting a little older. I can't remember how much I was. And I didn't want to be no more, you know, like my friends still wanted to start a new gang and all this stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want to get no more involved in this. I already did all this.
You know the concept between the hip hop and the gangs, right? The concept is that when they started the hip hop, instead of fighting,
We'll break
right?
dance.
We will break dance and see who won. Which, that was the whole concept behind. Now you get a crew now. Now you're going up against this crew, and this crew goes up against that crew, and it's all now no more fighting. Now it's dancing.
I don't know about the fighting part, but yeah.
Well, the concept was that because after the peace treaty, one of the reasons, and you know this, that I left, right, was because first all the equipment that I had was all of a sudden a lot of it was missing, and again, they wanted to fight. The younger brothers wanted to continue and fight. And the concept of the vision that I had, because all we needed was $1 to buy headquarters. They were buying buildings at that point. You can buy a building for $1, and you get federal funding, and the federal government will give you money to help you renew it and everything. So we had everything there, and my next move was to buy headquarters for $1. And all that, like I said, the young up after the meeting, they wanted to continue. So I didn't have the vote, and I didn't have the backing of, the younger guys that wanted to continue to fight. So by that point, I said, it's time for me to move on.
Okay, let's hear your story, Mr. Valentin.
To pick up where you brothers left off at, doing the hip hop thing, that's when BAM had started the thing, Zulu Nation, which was really the almighty Zulu Nation, or the organization first.
Bam Bam.
Huh?
Yeah,
It was nation.
Bam from the Black Spades.
Oh,
Yeah, the Almighty.
Right.
Almighty.
So that's how that came up, and that started first, like, we diss each other, making fun and stuff like that. And that's where you get the battles from.
Yeah, the battle.
We used to wear the all black beads with the shoe
Yeah,
around
I remember
the
that.
face.
Yeah.
So all that came within the bout, and that's when they had the 5%ers in here, and that's when we really started teaching the knowledge about who we were and stuff like that.
5% was Muslims, right?
Yeah, came
from the nation of Islam.
I'm glad you brought up this thing about, our history, because the problem that we got in the streets today with the blacks and Spanish, they don't know their history.
Yeah.
And so we got a big division, we have a lot of wars, a lot of issues going on because of that.
Yeah.
When you have babies having babies, they don't teach and educate the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So therefore you put an ignorant, or you bringing in ignorance against ignorance.
Yeah.
And therefore you crying because your child getting murdered in the streets.
Yeah, because the day, as you said that, the day I was reading it on the book, and I was reading about the word jibaro, right? In Spanish, a jibaro is someone that comes from the mountain in Puerto Rico, right? But what it was is when the Taínos,
Something wow.
yeah, when the Taínos came in and they found out that the Spanish wasn't immortals, right? That they actually could die because they looked at these people on horses with red hair, green eyes and blue eyes, and all this armory. They thought they were guards, right? But when one drowned crossing the river, they found out they couldn't drown, right? They're not immortal. Then they started escaping to the mountains, right? That's when they brought in the African slaves to do the work that the Taínos were doing, right? So what happened was that they found out they couldn't escape. They escaped to the mountain also. That's why our Spanish brothers play the drums good.
And they
right?
all swim, right?
Right?
Swim,
Yeah,
right?
right, because when they integrate, when they ran into the mountains, they ran into the Taino Indians, they integrated marriages, right? And the baby was born free. And I was reading that, and when I say, it was between African and bloodlines Taino, and I showed this sister. It was what we say a black girl that was sitting next to me. I said, look at this.
Right.
We are brothers.
So that brings us back to today with Mr. Valentin here, and you want to pick up?
All right. Like I said, due to that, the name Zulu Nation really came from a movie that African Bambaataa was watching, Shaka Zulu, and he had came that, and that's how really how that got. The Zulu Nation got so big, so a lot of brothers was getting into that, learning their knowledge with that, with the guards and men we was building. and we was bringing in our knowledge and stuff like that. I came from Chapter 4, which ran by my cousin Aiden, and Cypher, the guards with Desmond, he ran that in our neighborhood, and we was from 180th Street and Southern Boulevard, right there.
Yeah, know that area well.
You know our history with going on. So them two ran that area with 800 Lamberts, Gardens,
That's
people
Tremont.
up. Yeah, Tremont up there.
Tremont, yeah.
25 train. So them two ran that. So we was strong. And it went from one thing, us building and stuff like that. And like you said, the gangs did start coming back because then that's when everybody started bringing little bees. Everybody wanted to do their own little thing then. And the rules and regulations started changing.
Yeah, that's
And
why
what-
I never joined. Yeah.
Did you say they started bringing in the beads?
Yeah, we
we
didn't
wore
wear
beads.
vests back then. We started wearing beads.
Yeah.
I was all black, somebody might have red and
Black
white
and
or whatever the
red.
case
Yeah.
might be, and all that. The territory stuff it started coming back little by little, and then once again that
What
is
year would this be about?
80,
Yeah, the mid-80s,
early 80s,
early 80s.
early to mid 80s, yeah.
Because in the Lower East Side, the beads never really became really big down here until like the mid-90s. And then that's when
That's
it
the
started.
Latin
That's when the Latin Kings.
That's
Yeah,
when you had the
that's-
Latin
that
Kings,
came
the
afterwards.
Bloods, the Crips, and you had the
Yeah.
Loba Mafia.
Yeah, that came on afterwards.
Right, that was mid-90s down here.
Yeah.
The Zulu always used to have a black
The
plaque,
African- the
and
African-
it tells you clearly Zulu, but the beats,
Yeah.
the black
The beads
beats
are
with
interesting
red and
because,
Yeah.
also, which I think
Yeah.
could have come out of the
Face.
Botanicas, is that the hippies were all into the beads, the same kind of beads.
Well, that was the
Yeah.
That was the
60s.
60s, so
That was the
there's
60s.
a history of beads.
Yeah.
So then you get up to the mid-80s, you're saying, and that's when the beads came in with the gangs in the Bronx.
Right. We wore the beef for some reason. Cops, when the cops come, we could just dump them or throw them inside our chest.
Right.
So the cops said, "What gang you were?" And I don't know what you're talking about, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think also,
he will know this whole beat thing
yeah.
came out of jail.
They
True.
did.
Well, I was just gonna
They
say, in the
did.
mid-nineties-
It's a jail thing, especially
Yeah.
Rikers Island.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
Everything
no,
starts from the
unfortunately, I never been to jail, so thank God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've been arrested, I've been in
I
group
could- I
but
could
I
tell
never
you-
been to
I could
jail.
tell you that.
But
You wore
I
covers
know,
so you could wear beads.
Right.
they used to wear
But that was 90s.
the rosaries.
Yeah, the roads.
That's how they used to, each group identify each other through the rosary, you know, like the Latin Kings, and
Yeah.
then eventually
Right,
the
right.
Bloods came into the picture, because in the beginning there was no blood.
Right.
We didn't have no Bloods in New York.
Right, that's.
It was Latin Kings
That's all. Was
5%ers
That was West
Yeah.
Coast. West
and
Coast.
nietas.
Right.
Yeah.
See, in the mid-90s down here, you started getting like the rosary beads, and then you got like the black, the white, and the red on the
Yeah.
beads down here. You could tell a person's status by where the beads were
Yeah.
set.
And that
was
came-
a little thing. And then the prison stopped having people wearing beads because that became the color.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me tell you that story, because I could tell you that, because that the Latin Kings especially, the Latin King and the Nietas, they both like Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
but they more different. Because the Nietas, anybody really can get into. They have the
Anybody.
red, white,
Except
and
the
blue,
Latin Kings.
but not the Latin King.
Sorry.
You know, that's your wife.
Yeah.
Checking out.
Excuse me.
You better
Yeah,
check
you know.
in. You better check in.
Maryland.
Yeah. Okay, so what happened is, they came from Chicago. Chicago was the motherland of the Latin Kings. And it all started to reduce the violence in prisons, of rape, of bullying, and all that. You know, because that was bad in jail. So the Latin Kings would say, no, you know, we're not allowing this to happen. But to be a Latin King, you have to study. You have to know the 5 points of the ground, right? Which is unity, knowledge, respect, love, right? And I'll tell you the next one.
They were black and yellow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could wear
Who's
red.
clothes yellow? Okay.
But
You
let's
go
say
ahead,
something
right.
to you. Out here, Latin Kings, what they did in Chicago was enough. What they did.
No,
Hold
hold
on.
on.
And when they came here, it was more, like I said, a racial thing, because that's what started, they started telling the Latinos, yo,
Yeah, yeah.
we black games and come to us. And when they did that, that's when all hell broke loose.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
when Blood first started in the jails,
Yeah.
it started because the Latin
Latin
Kings and
King.
Niata, and it wasn't even a Latin King, it was a Niata.
You know your story.
But the
Yeah.
Latin Kings jumped in, talking about, yo, those are our brothers.
Yeah, so he
that's
had
when
to join,
OG
yeah.
That's when OG Mac and Deadeye, they
You
said,
know
all
your
right,
story.
we're gonna start this. You be in, what was the United Blood Nation. And at that time,
Yeah.
people don't know, Bloods and Crips ran together in the beginning. Because
Yeah.
it
In
was
the
big.
beginning.
When they came to Bronx River, my chapter and some other chapters,
They
Van
were
Wilder
big.
didn't want the Zulu Nation to get involved with that. But we jumped in, we like, yo, man, we out of here. We
Yeah.
gonna run with them, we gonna bang on Kings.
What year was this about?
That was
That's
the
90s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
late
early
80s.
and
Yeah.
90s.
Late 80s, early 90s.
You know, if you really want to know a lot about this whole thing, there's a show on, you could watch it on YouTube. It's Queen Flip.
Yeah.
He had some of the original Bloods in there talking the whole history, but he also had two guys there that were the original founding members with King Blood.
And King Tone.
Tone.
No, King, I don't even want to talk about King Tone. King Blood, he's the original
Yeah.
founder of the Latin Kings in New York.
New York.
Because they originally always was a street gang in Chicago, and he brought it over here. So
Yeah,
then
he was
too,
Cuban,
they,
too.
yeah, he's crazy Cuban. I hate to say it, but he was really crazy. And there's a whole thing where they explain the whole problem. They talk about the same thing you're talking about. The Nieta. See, and I never been to jail, right? But I have a lot of friends that been to jail, and they be telling me stories, and I thank God. that's all I can say for me. Thank God, right? But the whole thing in jail, everything is about cigarettes, drugs. You know, that's the money.
There's more drugs in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more, especially in Rikers Island. I'm glad I never went to Rikers Island.
What was the Connecticut connection?
I gotta stop
The
that.
Connecticut was,
Because
It's spreading. Everything that happened in New York is spread to the tri-state.
So did it go to Connecticut first and then New York, or did it go New York, Connecticut?
yeah.
New York, and then they started hitting Jersey, Connecticut.
yeah, when we had
South,
divisions,
South.
Benji
Cops
told me
started
we had
coming on us.
divisions in New Jersey. He even told me, we got some Cubans, because you know, Cubans in New York City, it was very hard for you to find.
Yeah, but you understand something? You have more Cubans back here. It was when Castro,
Yeah,
started putting guns at
that's
how
Florida.
it came.
When he started putting guns at Florida, that's when they started, cutting
Mississippi,
off the
Mississippi,
Cubans. And that's when the
yeah.
Dominican community started getting big.
Yeah.
Well, the communities came into Manhattan. The
First,
Dominicans came
yeah.
into Manhattan and started pushing in that area first. You know.
I won't say that, listen.
Yeah.
This
I
is,
say
the
that,
United
but I
States
live
is an immigrating country.
there. A melting pot.
Everybody comes from everywhere.
Yeah.
But
You know,
I want to clear.
So
one
I don't
point.
want to
wanna
hear
clear-
because they came because
Yeah.
you know we all
I want to
Well, we are.
clear one point up,
Yeah.
though. Armando, I want to clear one point up that you said. You know, a Latin king could not use drugs. Okay?
Lion King could not do a lot of things. They have rules and
Yeah,
everything.
that's why when
But
you
they
said
do,
drugs and this-
but you
But
don't
they did it.
understand. They do it.
Yeah, well, that's the
There was
one
some
out
kind of
here.
split, there was some kind of
And
split in the
how
early.
would you think they do in Chicago?
Okay.
They're
Now-
dealing drugs in
Let me just make this
Chicago.
point. There was a split in the early 90s because when Cochise and I did a mural on Avenue D, that was the Satan Centers, the Latin Kings, and then I was part of
The
that.
street
But at
kings
that
and
time,
the
the people that
jailhouse
were
kings
Latin
were
kings,
different.
which grew up in that, just associated with the Latin kings that came later.
Yeah.
There was a real split for them. So the Latin kings that we did the mural with, and this is the early 90s, and they had they sort of denied the association after that with the new group that came along.
Yeah, because the kids out here didn't actually know the concept of a Latin king. So the Latin king from prison knew the concept.
No.
See, the whole thing about
These guys grew up in the life, I guarantee you that they
Yeah.
came
I did
from the
24
first
years in prison.
yeah.
I came out January 2012. I went in 1993, right when the Latin Kings and Nieta controlled all the
Yeah.
prison system until the Bloods came. I remember in 93, they were attacking everybody. If you wasn't king, you were gonna get hurt.
Yep.
The Latin
I
Kings
heard that.
were the biggest bully in the prison system of New York City. Alright? And then it had to come and
Yeah,
take the
everywhere.
blood. It had to take the Bloods when they came in to put the kings in check because that's just the way how it was.
Yeah.
Because these guys were going crazy, they were hurting their own. I was in Clayton Correctional
because
Facility,
if you did things
and I
that you
remember
wasn't
when
supposed to.
kings were fighting kings and kings were fighting nietas and
Yeah.
Bloods were fighting crips.
Did you hear
Everybody was fighting one
Did
another.
you hear the king killers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
these people were killing each other. King
Yeah.
Blood.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
King Tone, wait. King Blood was killing his own.
Yes.
Guys
thank you.
wanted to come home. Guys wanted to leave that gang life. They were getting killed.
He was jealous about all
Alright?
the
They
people.
were gangsters. Gangsters, that's the life of a gangster. You understand? That's just the way it is. I mean, Chicago was different, but then what's going on in Chicago?
Is the same thing. They kill
Yeah.
each other up there, and they just
So
arrest
by
them.
the time I came home, the Latin Kings has shed so much blood. So has the Nietas. So has the Bloods. So has the Crips. So has the Rat Hunters, the Trinitarios. All those came
Yeah.
from prison.
Now you got the Mexican
understand?
mafia.
Now you got MS-13 going in
That's
there.
the
I
one,
remember
yeah.
one MS-13 that I seen. He had his body was so riddled with bullets, and he was still alive. They try to kill this young kid. He's still alive.
The other thing you had happening on the Lower East Side is that they would go to jail as Nietas and they'd come out Latin Kings. So
Yeah.
there was this lack of loyalty. They would split as soon as they get to Rikers. They'd become.
Because there was a lot.
It wasn't
They're
a-
from New York.
It's not a lack of loyalty when you go in. If there's more people, it's more blood or it's more
Yeah,
crap,
that's
that's what
what
you
you
want to
want,
run with. You
yeah.
want to flip over
That's
and
true.
survive.
You don't want to be alone.
You know, every gang, the Bloods have a manifesto too
Right.
that you're supposed to adhere to.
True that.
But people don't. It's like he said, you're a gangster, you're gonna be a gangster. You're gonna do gangster stuff.
Like they said, blood in, blood out.
Yeah, that's it. That's the main line. But everything counts. There's certain thing you're not supposed to do. No man-to-man stuff.
Yeah, you can't.
You
be
know,
right now.
don't rap from your brother. But that happens too. You know, because if you have something that I like, and because I'm just who I am, I'm a gangster, and you close your eyes, I'm gonna take it. Because that's my nature. That's the nature. You know, it's like a snake. You can't play with a snake.
Because you
Because
know
they gonna
it's a
bite you.
snake. Sooner or later,
Yeah, it's gonna bite
you.
me. Because he's a snake.
And remember the movie The Warriors?
Oh,
The movie
yeah.
The Warriors, they used the story of the Ghetto Brothers to make the movie The Ghetto Brothers.
Yeah, and they were doing that scene. They did a scene on Kingsbridge Terrace, which is the longest block in the Bronx, I think.
You think
Because-
Kingsbridge stuff?
yeah,
It's not that long, but
Yeah, it starts in
About a
Kingsbridge
year.
and ends up in Fort
yeah,
Independent. you
it's
know.
true, but
That's
it's
it. Well, that was the break. I didn't do this in the middle of that block.
Up until today, now we have Mr. Valentine here, who's heavily occupied in this.
Yeah, I want to hear that
Yeah.
part.
Tell them about
Yeah, let's
that.
hear about what you're.
All right. Basically, you know, I'm at the table as we speak, talking, and working with Bloods and Crips, trying to get the brothers to put down their weapons and stuff like that. It's not an all-out war, you know what I'm saying? You got some areas where they might chill together, you got some areas they just banging, you got some of the OGs, you know what I'm saying? They just doing their own thing, then you got little peewees, ain't nobody teaching them the right way, so they just buck wilding out here. Me being black, a lot of the older blacks, you know what I'm saying, they keep coming back talking about the 60s, but at the end of the day, you need these stores and businesses for the young ones to teach them how to run things. And you got other people coming in and doing that, so the young ones, they look at it like, yo, screw you. You know, so I want to say the F word, but I don't know if we say it on camera. But they want to say, yo, screw you. You ain't teach me nothing. I got somebody here, they got a business, they got a store, they don't even talk my language, not to be disrespectful, and you want me to look up to you? Get the F out of here. So that's why you see the young ones popping up on the older people, because that's the anger and the hate they got inside them. So it's hard trying to teach them that and get them to calm down when they're dealing with situations in the house where the father ain't there,
Yeah.
or the mom's got to work 2 jobs. The school system is garbage. You know what I'm saying? You ain't teaching them who or what they are, and you wait till they get to the 12th grade and tell them, oh, you need 10 more credits, or you need that. And then, you know, you got 17, 18, he already done been too little, you know, locked up, whatever the case might be. He can't get a record, he can't get a job. So now you got the young man, he making babies, but he's staying with the girlfriend on welfare, and they living off a check. So the violence, you know, beating up on a woman and the hatred and stuff like that, it's still there. Everything is not really gang related, it's just house is not being controlled. And society and the streets still look at everything being a gang related.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
That's for the shootings out here, it's not even gang related, it's just projects who didn't like each other, even before Bloods and Crips, Kings and that, we just didn't like. Whenever you take a project, and that's what it is, a project, and you put people on top of each other like animals, you're gonna get chaos. That's what the
Well,
jobs
the
are
project system was made as
what
a, behind the prison system. The
That's
project.
what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you look at you go to school, you look at the walls and how they
Yeah,
built,
yeah.
and then look at the projects, and then
Yeah.
you
Same
know,
thing.
it's the same thing.
It's
It's
material.
designed.
To put you in a certain area,
Right, you're right.
to know where you're at, to control you.
True.
Yeah.
That's what a
You know what I'm
project
saying?
is.
So youth ain't stupid no more. They waking up, they looking at people like, yo, you supposed to be here to help me. At the end of the day, you still here against me. You know, you got a president who sit up there and say, you know, he telling the police to beat up on us. You telling the police to kill me and shoot me and get away with it.
I don't want to talk about the president.
No, but I'm just.
That's a whole
Yo, but you know,
new.
when you got people in leadership, you know what I'm saying? All and so people we supposed to respect, and they doing this. You ain't got no.
I'm gonna say something that he might not agree with me. Maybe you want to agree with me. Okay, Bloomberg sucked. And what's his name? Giuliani, who I can't stand now sucked. But the one thing they did that was good, and for me, this is my perception of what I see from the community, from where I come from. They had stop and frisk. So they were saying, let's stop it because they only targeting black and Latino. But who's doing the crime? Black and Latino. There ain't no white guys coming from upstate New York down here to mug another black guy.
Well,
We mugging each other.
When you're finished, I wanna say
And the
something.
reason why I said that, and I'm gonna show you why I said that. Because nowadays, everybody's walking around with a gun on them. And the cops can't do nothing unless you take it out and they can see it physically. Back in those days with the stop and frisk, the thing about the cops, they knew who's who in the neighborhood.
Right.
You know? Because I'm in my neighborhood, and I see them all the time. They never stop me, they never even, because they know I'm not hanging out in the corner.
They used to walk.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. What I'm saying is this. I've documented the Lower East Side for a long time in all kinds of parts. Not so much the famous, but certainly the unfamous.
Yeah.
And I've documented the drug world down here. And I know, a reasonable amount about it. And I know damn well that when Cuomo the Elder got into power, the first thing he did is he tripled the numbers of jails. Because upstate,
I'm
upstate,
That's the,
no, I'm talking about Cuomo.
Yeah.
And what happened is that they needed numbers to be in the jail. Now, just let me finish for a second. I know for a fact, an absolute 100% fact, as we all do, and the famous basketball players do, and the Bush boys know, and everybody knows. There's actually, at that time, more white people involved in the drug world than any other guy.
Oh, yeah.
And Lower East Side,
Perception.
they were down here. The people that were buying were basically white. The people that were selling were basically Puerto Rican, and later became the Dominicans.
Yeah.
And so, out of the jail population, the largest percent of the population was black and Latino. Well, how does that work in terms of equality? So all that, I don't want to argue with you about the stop
No,
and frisk,
I
but the
agree with you
inequality
100%.
of that bullshit. So what you've done is you've taken all those kids, you put them in goddamn jail, you taught them in jail
You
how to
forgot
come out.
Rockefeller.
Well, okay,
Because
that's
Rockefeller came out with that Rockefeller law
course,
that they
with
could
the
catch
crack.
you for.
So what would happen is down here you had Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday was TNT.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Wednesday and Friday where I'm from.
You got picked up on Tuesday and Thursday, you could go to the feds. They would take these kids like with crack and they would give them 20 years or more. Or a little bit of coke, you get 20 years. Now you got a pork chop, that's what I used to tell these kids, get off the goddamn corner, go to where the famous people are because there are a lot of famous clubs down here, sell there, you won't have a problem. As soon as Paris Hilton leaves, you leave. And so the thing of it is, the population, about a third of the New York State prison population came from down here. And most of it's drugs.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get to stop and frisk, you've now got a prison population that we've created, thousands of them, and that started because of the inequality of the drug world. And so, yes, by the time you've taught that prison culture to thousands and thousands of kids, most of those kids, I tell you, the drug thing is a little bit, I'm a little bit off on the drug thing.
Go ahead.
'Cause I know a lot of good kids that sold drugs because that was the business on the block. They weren't criminally minded.
No.
And it's like Cochise, but the reality is he's not criminally minded. He's an asshole when he's drunk, and when he's drunk, he's not drunk. And
No,
so
that's true.
So that's his thing. He's
That's
not
why I
criminal.
was drinking.
I could leave him in my house, and I would with Alistair or whatever, no problem. He's not criminally minded. He's not going to steal from me. He's not going to rip me out. Get him drunk, and you got a problem. So the thing is
I went to
that
prison
whole
because
all those kids
I
carrying
threw two members
guns.
of my own gang into these river. Threw them up, stand them up, and threw them into this river.
Yeah,
They're
so-
survived, thank God,
So that whole
He's right.
carrying gun factor, that population, a lot of it came after we had created this prison culture, this prison industrial complex. So that's
I
that's
agree
why I'm
with you
finding
on there,
debatable.
but
I'm
remember,
arguing, but
no. But I'm gonna tell you why I said what I said. Because now, see, now you could walk. Listen, you could walk. You got your gun. You know you ain't gonna get stopped. At that time when that was happening, you will leave your gun in your house. Because you didn't know when you were going to get stopped.
Right.
So if you got into a fight, because now, this new generation, the first thing they do is they pull out the gun.
But the stop and frisk came with Giuliani and Bratton.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is years later.
But
so now
Which
he's
is
got a
illegal.
multiple.
Which
came-
is illegal to start with.
Well, it came after the crack epidemic. It
Of
was
course.
almost
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
way down when he came out with that. See, the crack, what created all this prison thing was the crack epidemic.
Of course, but you know,
It was an explosion like you
That was
never
a setup.
seen it.
there's a movie.
Huh?
That was a setup.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
put something in the community and bring it out.
And it
There's
blew up like
There's a movie called Castro, which this guy Dan Levin, Ben Solomon, and Jennifer did in my life, basically.
Yeah.
Now they come out of Blowback Productions. Blowback Productions also did Crack in the System, the real Rick Ross story, and that is basically the beginning of crack.
Yeah.
And they tied in that movie the CIA
Yeah.
to. Now there was a major cocaine dealer in South America, and Mark Levin, who made Crack in the System, he went to I forget which, if it was Nicaragua or where it was, but
Yeah, it
anyway,
was all with the
he-
contract.
He interviewed the head guy of the cartel.
Which one of
And
them
they
was
said,
CIA?
you gotta watch the movie. So they said, so basically what the head guy of the cartel said, the only reason that I'm having an interview with you is because we've had the CIA down here looking for me, we've had the DEA down here looking for me, we've had every sort of American, investigative system down there look, and they couldn't find him. And this guy from New York, the filmmaker, he went there and he found him. So, like I say, the crack thing, if you watch Crack in the System, that's CIA. So this is self-created. And then you got Bloomberg now cutting out the art and the music.
Now that I
We're
agree
building
with
a
you.
crazy prison system. Now, by the time you get to Giuliani and Bratton, you've now got about a third generation going through the prison system of these kids that have been taught nothing but criminal history.
I
Well,
mentioned.
but I'm going to tell you because
I mean, I don't want to get passionate.
no. Listen,
No.
the thing is, this new generation, like he was saying, they don't have. How could I say?
The morals and laws
Thank
that
you.
we got. But
You know-
but you gotta understand something, man.
That's third generation criminals.
Yeah, but this is Generation X. This
Yeah.
is already planned. You know what I'm saying? They didn't wake up and say that. Like you said, crack and stuff like that was planted there for this to happen. You understand? So when you put stuff there to help destroy something, you on the top already knew what you was doing. You know what I'm saying? You already when you can sit up and say you got AA stuff like that, you know what you're doing. You already know
Yeah.
alcohol gonna kill.
Yeah.
So when you plant something in a seed and you let it go out, you lock somebody, you lock a dog in there, and he kill him. You're gonna do what he do. He gonna run.
All right.
So that's what you do with the youth. That's what they did to this.
That's
Wow. That's what you.
And it destroyed the family unit
But let's go back even
because
further.
now the mother
That's
don't
where I
teach
wanna
the
go.
kid.
But
You
how
know,
can you teach them that you don't know?
exactly.
But let's go back
they
even
crack-
further though. How do we
destroy
get all
everything.
these single families? How do we get to single families? That came through the welfare system. So a woman couldn't live with a man, even if he's working or whatever, and they're both working, but they switch off for the kids. If you were getting welfare, you no longer could live with anybody. You had to be by yourself.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then you ended up with all these single parent families. That was created, a lot of it, by the welfare system. So I agree with Valentine here. That was created by the government. Because the end result is, you know, that a single family is just a bad,
Well, that's why they changed the law on welfare. Now the parent. But
How
let me
long
tell
did-
you,
how many years did that
I
take?
grew up with a lot of guys. They had kids,
Yeah,
and all they did was just have kids and keep walking.
that's because
Yeah,
welfare.
but-
You know what I'm saying? They didn't pay for those
You gotta
kids.
start something.
They didn't give no money to the kids. So welfare was the one taking care. Now they got that law where you.
Listen to me. Let me show you something. You said welfare, right? Understand what the word welfare says. Now it says farewell.
Yeah.
So now you got a woman here with kids. This man done walked away, and welfare done walked away because now it's saying farewell. That's why it's called public assistance now.
Yeah.
So now you got her struggling here. You got a kid that's, my father don't love me. My mother's going through this. You got this kid here. This baby fucker will come take care, but ain't nobody gonna take me. Fuck everybody.
Yeah,
you
but
go
where-
click, click.
my
Wait
thing-
a minute.
where did that
This-
come
wait a minute.
from?
Wait a minute, you go click, click, and whoever's out there, that's what they get.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why you get the anger, you get the hatred, and that's why you got so many y'all here popping up.
And
Where
there's no
the-
way out.
No, I'm
There's no way
100%
out.
with you. But what I'm saying is like how that developed to that point because you probably about my age and you know, and I did.
I'm 51.
You know, I'm a little older than you, and I died. you know, our parents knew each other.
Yeah, but
And we all came from the same neighborhood. See, now, the
When
thing
you-
about New York City, and I'm sorry, and
It's not just New York City.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get a
But in the
point,
Bronx.
because it's-
at the beginning, everything was from the same neighborhood. If you grew up, your parents was living in, like my parents was living in High Bridge, most likely your whole life will be in High Bridge.
And the landlord lived
You
there
know,
too.
now it's not, yeah.
Okay.
And now it's not like that because of the high rent and all that. Everybody
Yeah.
just moving from place to
Of
place
course,
to place.
yeah, of course.
But in that time, so everybody knew everybody's kid.
Right.
Okay.
And
You know, and the
landlords
reason
now-
why I said that because I was doing some foul, crazy shit down the block. And my father knew everything I knew when I used to come home.
But you gotta understand something. I'm gonna let you talk one second about it. When you have a child having a child, and no one
Yeah.
taught that child
No
nothing,
support.
That's
And no
every
support
business,
for you.
everything
Okay.
breaks.
But that's
That rope. Put like if we playing what's that?
yeah, I know the pull of the
the
rope
thing,
there,
right?
yeah.
If they all pull at the count of 3, and I pull and you don't pull, they're gonna automatically win. And that's what happened here with the
So when
family.
you said the crack epidemic
Let me
broke
just-
the
let me-
family,
let me
you know,
just
like
say
that?
It broke
something.
everything. It
Let
broke
me-
loyalty,
Destroy
trust,
everything. That's what I was
you
saying.
guys
What's
are
your
you guys are arguing over here.
No,
And
no,
I-
no.
No, I'm not arguing. Okay, wait. Let me just clear up a few points because I work in the field. I'm an award-winning social worker.
All right.
Okay?
Take it away.
And I'm taking, and that's what I'm saying. Because now, and I had a guy that did 24 years, right? And he came out of jail, and they had Metro cards, cell phones, and all that shit. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He slept with a woman, right? She gave him HIV. Now this was the angriest person in the world. And I had to calm him down with anger management classes and all that stuff. Now, what I'm saying is, you said there's a Pataki. I know because I supervised that.
Cuomo, let's go with him.
But let me tell you about Pataki. Because I got a book this big in my house, right, of all the prison systems and how they are, okay? Because I visited those prisons when I was supervisor of the Asian Prison Project. I used to work for Osborne. I supervised that project. And I will visit all these prisons. Pataki did 4 or 5 supermax behind people backward. Nobody knows. Why? Because they're using these prisons to make money. Everything.
Right.
I've been called, I have been called, do you have anybody messing up because they have empty beds in Rikers Island? I've been called. I said, what, you crazy? Like, I want to tell you, because I work with my people. That's why I guess I got the award. That's why, like I said, recidivism is when a person gets involved in the educational system, there is 0 recidivism, and that is proven, okay? Because they learn the system, all right? About when I worked in Manhattan and Brooklyn courts, because I worked in Manhattan and Brooklyn courts in alternative sentencing, right? And I also was going up to Albany because I'm a member. I was a member. First, I was a member of the Bronx Care Network, with 180 programs in the Bronx coming out of Montefiore. I was a voting member where all that money was going to advocate. Also, I'm a member of the Correction Association where we knocked out that Rockefeller program. We knocked because they were keeping empty prisons open just so the towns could get the funds and could get the people recorded over there and get more money allocated. Wow, that prison cost $144 million to keep open a year. And all these after-school centers and over here was getting cut off. All these after-school programs and all that, okay? In addition to that, right, the Rockefeller program, right, you were getting people locked up. There was an old lady, I never did drugs, never did none. They broke in, they took up, gave her an asshole full of time.
Right.
All right, that got knocked off, okay? Now, for some reason, Cuomo joined in, right, on that. Yeah, he did. He and the Wall Street,
The younger Cuomo.
yeah, the younger Cuomo, of course, not himself. But there's a couple, yeah, right, the younger one, right? And now that's gone. We said, please, the people are not going upstate. They need programs, okay? because you're not. It's a victimless crime. You're not. That's another thing that we stopped was and my wife wanted to make to collect signatures because I will go down to Albany and I will show people these people come being released to your district. What do you have to offer them once they're released? So I think you should jump aboard. Let's get something rolling. We did that, right? Because I was a team member, okay, a team leader. I mean, right? So we knocked them down because now to get violated, right? You have to do a crime. It's no more that you violating somebody.
If your urine is dirty,
Your urine. That's a dirty urine. That's what you committed. You're using. I mean, but I have gotten a couple guys off because I said, let me work with him. I said, I'm gonna give you 3 months in Court Street because I got his warrant right here. I'm gonna give you 3 months. You know, I've helped quite a few people out. And then to get violated because they come home late, you're gonna violate them, and it costs us $54,000 a year
for a person.
I mean, yeah. 54.
Well, that's the pork chop.
Yeah.
But actually, doing the book, I was able to get Cochise off of parole because Cochise had a long parole.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, originally they wanted to give me 50 to life for the attempted murder of 2 members of my own gang. But eventually it was through appeals and all 12 to 24. But out of that, parole hits, and along with some other bits that I did, it's all 24 years. But because of Clayton, it helped with Clayton Patterson, he was able to speak with my parole officer and they were able to cut it off. So now
I want to mention one more thing because they mentioned the supermaxes. You know, in the 60s at Harvard, they understood that if you deprive a person of all connection to humanity, that they will go crazy.
And that's it.
So when you get into
And
the
that's it.
supermaxes, and then you see these ugly TV shows, which I can't watch, but here you got the prisoners throwing feces and urine at the guards and all of that. Well, that comes from just the really sensory deprivation of cutting all human
Well, I've seen young kids kill themselves, hang themselves. Young kids, baby-faced kids, 17 years old.
Let me just finish this one point. So what happens in these supermaxes is, first of all, you don't get out. Some supermaxes have the exercise right behind your
Right
cell.
behind the door, they open it in the little area and you see camera.
And then you don't see anybody, you don't see daylight, you don't feel wind, you don't feel any of that. And so that makes you crazy. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out is that we were kind of involved in 9/11, I also got cracked in the head and whatever, but we were able to go to the trials. They had closed circuit TV, right?
Yeah.
And Elsa went every day because it was really meaningful to her. I went once in a while because I had to maintain the fort. But so what happened is when Massawi came up, the prosecutor said, hey, he's going to have 3 hots and a cot. And the warden that they had there said, no, in 3 years he's going to be a vegetable. And then the prosecutor said one more time, he's going to have 3 hots and a cot and TV. And he said, no, he's going to be a vegetable. So we know that we're creating in those super maxes, we're creating animals, or whatever you want to call it.
And not only that, it's proven because
we're doing that.
And it's proven that it's a proven factor, statistically wise, that many that go in with a clear head, right? Like Clayton says, 70 to 80% come out on psychotropic medication.
Well, that's another thing, exactly.
You know, because the only thing that they have is a table this long, maybe longer, when their lawyer comes, and that's barely to see the person. That's how long the table is.
You know, you got to be hardcore to deal with segregation.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that is, you know, he can get into a program and he could just follow that program religiously. But a lot of people, I could never do that. I could never do that. It would make me crazy.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and then they're white. The cells are white.
Yeah, exactly.
The cells are white
right.
because that when you're having a white cell
Yes.
for a long period of time, it drives you crazy.
See, the thing with Devil's Island was, brutal as that system was, still within your cell, you had people that had come before you with marks on the wall, you had cockroaches or
That
whatever.
was a hard time.
Yeah,
No,
and that was
Devil's
hardcore.
Island.
But still, when you're locked in a white cell with artificial light, there's no connect. When you get your food,
There's no coloring,
There's no coloring. There's nothing, and it makes people crazy. And we know that. We've known that since the '60s. So what the hell's wrong with us? But anyway, on that point, we're gonna have to move on because I think.
I want to say one more thing, and that's it, real quick. Valentine knows about this. When Nipsey Hussle died, you know how all the gangs in LA came together?
Yeah.
Here in New York City, a lot of Latin Kings and Crips and Bloods and all clubs came together, all gangs, street gangs together for a moment, but they were at peace. And this is something that reminds me of the Ghetto Brothers and what Yellow Benjy and Karate Charlie established with the peace of the gangs. And when Nipsey Hussle took his death to bring these gangs together, these people together.
And we
that's
know
what
that
we
it's
wanna see
possible.
more of that.
We know it's possible.
It's possible.
You know, we've all known a lot of these people. I mean, I've documented a lot of them. You grew up with them. The thing is, we know that most of them are decent human beings. Look, the guy that pulls the wings off a bird, stay away from that guy because he's just a fuck up.
Yeah.
But most of the people, they're really just decent people. It's like 1% of the population are really hardcore criminals. Everybody else is not.
No, in
And see,
reality, the Latin Kings, the Bloods, the Keystone, they all folks nation. Is it folk nation?
Nah,
Yeah,
Crips and Gangster Disciples. They
No,
go there.
there's the folks. There's two family groups.
Yeah, people. I know.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be in peace because they belong to the same family group.
but we throw in the money
You
and
know,
the
they
drugs
happen
and the rest of it.
to-
Yeah. So what we do is, we end on a happy note.
Yeah, wait, and did you know that I participated in the movie The Cross and the Switchblade? Right?
Did you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was with Nicky Estrada, with Eric Estrada played Nicky Cruz, Pat Boone played David Wilkerson.
The handsome guy.
I have a book out called Tears of a Gangster, and it breaks down our history and it shows why people join and what really goes on between us and why you see the racism. So that's out right now in the book, Current Violence, talking about bullying and stuff like that and what's really going on. That book will be out in January.
I just want to add a quick point here, and that is you're on Facebook, and you can get the book through Facebook.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right, so let's just, so what's your name?
And there's a movie called
Tony Valentine.
The Education of Sonny.
These are all my
Sonny
certifications.
Carson.
Yeah.
All
You should
my
see that movie.
certifications.
What?
That's
There
a
is
badass
okay.
movie.
Yeah.
All my
So,
certifications.
Tony Valentine can be found on Facebook, and if you go to Facebook, you can find your, what's the name of the book?
Tears of a Gangster.
Tears of a Gangster.
No, he put all his-
And Cochise has,
Yeah.
do you want to hold up the book, Cochise?
I don't have it here, but it's the street gang, my being.
That the people from Channel 7 that gave me the award, the Above and Beyond Award for my work in the community. Right there.
Yeah, right?
That's me doing work
This
with
is
the
the
Bronx
book that's out
Brothers.
now, and this will be the book that'll be out in January.
Let me see the
All my certifications. So when I talk about something, from gay and lesbian domestic violence to domestic violence
There you go.
to
What's this,
reporting.
everybody showing their book,
Yeah.
The Street Gangster Lower Said by me, Connie Patterson. All right.
We finish on a happy
I
note.
know that sing. Who
There
goes
you
sing?
go. So, we go out with singing Happy Trails.
I can't sing that.
Everybody can sing. Everybody can
They
sing.
threw me out the train when I tried
That
to
doesn't
sing.
matter. Happy trails to you
Until we meet again.
Happy
trails to you
until we meet again. Okay, from this time until next time, people, this is Clayton Patterson on the 8 Ball Radio Show, the Clayton Patterson Show. And today we had
Cochise.
Armando.
Evaristo.
Valentine.
And I'm Clayton Patterson signing off. Thank you very much. And we had a good time. Good time was had by all. Happy trails.
Only Clayton can get gangsters together to sing that song.
I didn't even know the word.